What's up, everybody? I'm Avataj, and welcome to another episode of the HLTB podcast. I am, of course, joined, as I am joined every week, by my spectacular co-host, Paula, aka Pokepaw.
Hello there.
This week, we have both been beating some games. Both of us. We've both been
Shocking.
playing some games. And I have even retired a game. So we have a lot of games to talk about between us. And more excitingly, though, I'm looking forward to our topic, which is very much relying on Paula's input, as you will no doubt guess, because our topic is games from the point of view of a girl. Because I'm sure, we've all heard the stories and we all have heard what it's like being a girl as a gamer. And as much as, we're all cool and friends and everything, sometimes there are some interesting experiences out there, I'm sure. And Paula's going to inform us on some things, and we're going to discuss some of the ups and downs there. And then eventually Paula's going to quiz me and see if I can actually get my brain working and guess a game at the end of the day. But, we'll see how that goes when we get there.
Interesting doesn't even begin to cut it. Like, holy crap, I've seen some shit.
And that's why I'm looking forward to hearing these stories. But first of all, Paula, tell us about what you've beaten this week. I see there's some good stuff on there that I'm excited to hear about.
I actually beaten some games. Holy crap, who am I? Is this me? I don't even know anymore. Okay, so first of all, I finished Plague Inc. Evolve.
Yes.
I pretty much beat the game in normal difficulty with every kind of disease / plague. The final one that I was having trouble with was the vampire plague, mainly because there's a lot of things to kind of take into account.
Mm-hmm.
Being that, first of all, if you start like killing people, because obviously vampires need human blood to survive. Don't believe what Twilight has taught you. It is all a lie. But anyway, since vampires need blood to survive, and they start killing like people on the place where they are staying at, the main thing is that, hey, they start like noticing people are going missing. They investigate, or hey, we have bodies drained of their blood. Huh? Is this a cult or what? So you are put into a watch list like fairly quickly, and the Templars are hunting you down. So one of the things that you have to keep in mind is the Templars, because first of all they'll destroy your bases, and second of all they try to destroy you. If you let them like get too strong, then you won't be able to destroy the bases, and that will be the end of you. The other thing that you have to take into account is when you start infecting people, like not just killing for the sake of eating. You start infecting people. Well, doctors will start trying to research for a cure here, because they don't want like more dead people over here, or like a potential pandemic spreading on top of people dying because of blood loss. So they start researching too. So the modus operandi here is start in Greenland, use the abilities of the vampire to just feed on more blood and get more DNA points by feeding on more blood. Then eradicate Greenland, eradicate like half of Iceland, and then the Templars will start like spreading through the world, and you have to destroy all the bases. Once you destroy all their bases, then start infecting people. At first, you have to gain like stupid amount of DNA to make things quick, because of course, if they research the cure before you finish infecting people, you're kind of in trouble. So you have to grind for a lot of DNA. I got about 600 of DNA by killing people from multiple countries. And then I evolve like all kinds of transmission methods, plus extra resistance to some stuff. And also I built up a couple of layers because you are able to teleport between the layers. And also, like, whenever you have a layer on a country, like, for example, a country that has like a very strong, I'm gonna say like medical score because they have like
Hmm.
very good medicine, you are able to infect even like more easily if you have a layer in there. Um, so yeah, I infected everyone. On the way, I created a new vampire because that can happen. I got the achievement Purity of the Chosen because of that. Uh, and also, I created the Blood Slaves because once you go through your symptoms tree like far enough, you are able like to pretty much enslave the entirety of the human race. And
Nice.
I didn't even need to just plain kill everyone. I just did it to enslave them. So I very much like won the game by getting the achievement Blood Pets because everyone who wasn't a vampire was a vampire slave. So yeah, that was my final adventure on Plague King Evolve. I still
Awesome.
feel like the most difficult illness to manage was the one that make the apes smart
Hmm.
because it's not like you can like either evade the effects of the cure like you could in the zombie plague, and it's not like you can fight for example the humans that try to kill you and try to fight the cure at different times like you do with the vampires. With the apes you have to be very careful in the sense that you have to micromanage the apes colonies while also trying to infect humanity to kill them. And also, you need to try to stop them from killing your apes and making a cure. So I think that's the most difficult plague. I feel like the one that gave the most interesting results was the one that let you control the humans, like the Nerax worm,
Yeah, yeah.
because you were able to send planes and just research symptoms that make humans do like very stupid shit. From pretty much like crashing a plane against like a nuclear thingy and killing half of Canada, to Canada itself purging the humans that have been infected. And that was kind of like unexpected to say the least. I didn't see that kind of panic or that kind of chaos with any other of the illnesses. So, in a very twisted way, the Nurse Worm was my favorite.
Nice.
So, yeah, I don't know what that says about me as a person. Do I really care? No. You've been hearing me talk about games for 4 years, and you already know I'm a twisted fuck. So
You want to control the human race.
I want to control the human race. Well then, before okay, for legal purposes, I must say that everything is just a lighthearted joke. And I do not actually want to control the human race. That will be actually too much work. And I'm too lazy of a person to take control of the entire world. If I could have anyone do it, okay. I'm not gonna shoot myself in the foot over there.
That's a slippery slope.
That's a slippery slope right there. So yeah, the other game that I completed, I'm gonna leave that one for last because it's kind of like a common one. But I also finished Cat of a Boyfriend because this one was a game that I started like many months ago.
I was going to say I thought you'd played this before.
Yeah, I actually went and finished my replay, and I realized there were a lot of things that I kind of like forgot. Okay, first of all, I think on my first playthrough, I never read the archives that you unlocked after each unique ending of the game. That kind of
Mm.
like gave you like clue of what the overarching plot and the overarching situation of the world was. Um, and also, I went through like the actual true route, I guess, and it was a doozy. Well, first of all, I have to get like all the remaining character endings for me to unlock VVL, which I still don't know what it stands for. So I finished Asami's route. I got her normal end, where she kind of like looked up to some I'm gonna say like a lawful hooligan in a way, because he was part of like a motorbike gang, but they just cause chaos. But the one thing that was law is to never break the laws of transit. So I do not make the rules; they do. So shit happened. She was like devastated by his disappearance, and she very much like left the way of that motorbike gang in the normal end and in the true end. She kind of like got a happy ending with the guy she looked up to. I also had to like go and clean up like some of the other endings, because there are some characters that have two endings. I think there's three of them, so I have to clean up those before going through the BBL to get like the epilogue after like the actual route, which I checked and I somehow still missed like a couple of endings, so I had to play BBL, realize I didn't get the endings, play the other thing, skip the BBL, and get the actual thing. So one thing that for you to get the BBL route, I think you have to get like all the kind of like, I'm gonna say like 3 or 4 endings of the characters, or like of certain characters, I think. And then you have to start a new game, and you are given the option of, do you want to have like a regular school year, or do you want to fulfill the promise? So if you select to fulfill the promise, whatever that means, you are thrown into what at first seems to be a normal playthrough. And it is like advised that you select one of the bachelors and try to stick with the route up until VVL happens, because it seems there's some kind of glitch or something like that that may not work if you if you try to like just do whatever, um, instead of just focusing on one character. And then you get to VVL and you swap your point of view. You're no longer Hiyoko. You are you're Hiyoko's best friend, Kawara, and Kawara Ryota, and you play as him for the remainder of the game. You also have like
Cool.
some scenes from the another point of view from Sakaya mainly, because he has some things along the way that are kind of important. And I think you have a couple of scenes from Nagiki, the dove that is kind of like trapped at the library. So shit goes down the drain because reasons. The school kind of becomes enclosed in this kind of dome, and you pretty much have to solve a mystery, which takes into account things that may have not made much sense during the other routes. And everything kind of like gets tied into a nice little bow at the end. I do have like extended notes of this particular chapter. At the moment, we are like kind of like proposing or like nominating games for the game of the month and the April Fool's choice, and I'm hoping that Hatoful Boyfriend makes either of us. And in that case, if I manage to make Josh play Hatoful Boyfriend, I do have my in-depth notes. So at some point, we can make a spoiler cast about this. Hopefully, I'm gonna just keep my little ray of hope here, even if you never ever play the game. I still would like to have the notes, so in case I have to discuss the games with someone else. But yeah, this
Good
route
thinking.
was this route was extremely long. It took me like multiple half-hour sessions to go through all like the whole route. Plus an extra half an hour to unlock the endings that I forgot, and an extra half an hour to get the actual epilogue. This game did not disappoint, and I'm pretty happy I replayed it, because there are like some things that I didn't quite realize when I first played it many years ago. So also one thing that is like very funny is how this game came to be. So the creator of the game, I forget her name, but she was actually a mangaka. She used to draw and write manga. She wasn't a fan of drawing though. So she wanted to tell a story via a video game. I don't remember why she decided on a video game, but she decided to use stock images of pigeons because she didn't want to draw. And she made like a whole story revolving around these pigeons. And I think I read somewhere that the more silly rats were like for the people that were like, haha, funny, the silly pigeon game. I'm gonna just play the silly route and be done with it. But she had like the more serious routes for those who wanted to stick around.
Yeah.
That's how the story goes. If anyone has like a more in-depth understanding of how this game came to be, please go to the comments or reach out to us.
Well, I do remember when it came out, it took a while before people actually realized there was all the other stuff in the story and in the game, because initially anything I heard about it was just, oh yeah, it's a visual novel dating sim with pigeons. Isn't that funny? But it took like a good couple of weeks for people to actually go, oh, there's actually some more stuff going on here. Like,
Pretty much.
yeah, and it took them a while to find all the backstory kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that really went crazy, because like one of the things about Hatful Boyfriend is not only that you have to make like the quote unquote correct choices, but for some characters you're required to have like a certain stat. So for example, for what was his name again? Coulson? The pigeon that's kinda dumb, I'm gonna say. I forgot his name. But you have to be like very athletic to get like his actual extended ending. For Sakuya, you have to be a good musician, so you have to study music. For the math teacher, you have to be good at math. There you go.
Yeah, I think
and even like
it's way more complex than anyone expected.
and that's like the best part. Like,
Yeah.
it could just stop at the point of being like just a silly little dating sim where you date pigeons, but it is so much more than that, and I was so happy it is so much more than that. So yeah, I do recommend Hatable Boyfriend for anyone who is interested like in visual novels in general. I think like it's kind of like a must play for especially like certain niches, because it really shows what uh, a visual novel can be in a way. So yeah, go play Hatoful Boyfriend. You won't regret it. Okay, you may regret it in the sense like of finishing the game and saying like I've seen some shit, but trust me, it's a good one.
It's a modern classic.
It's a modern classic. Also, if you like a good mystery, you'll really like this one.
Yeah, there's lots to get into, and even when I first played it, I've only played like one route, so there's a lot that I haven't seen in the game. But when I first played it, I started off just going, "Oh yeah, cool, another one of these," and then just by the end of it, I'm like, "What the what?" And it was really good. So
I'm kind of like curious on what route you got to get that reaction.
yeah, I'd have to play it again to remember. So
okay,
it was a long
I'll
time
take your
ago.
word on it.
Yeah, there was cover ups and mysteries and things. Let's put it that way.
Oh yeah, probably yeah. I think I know who you played as, or like who you play with, or like the thing.
Yeah. I can't remember, so you're doing better than me.
Okay, so the final game that the second to final game that I finished was M4thew, and this one is from the Sock Pop Collective,
Mm-hmm.
and it is kind of like a little experiment, but still feels like a full game, in the sense of, okay, you are kind of like in the solar system, and you have to fire like a little projectile and try to get that projectile through certain rings, but that projectile's trajectory is gonna be affected by the gravity of the system.
Yep.
That's the overall idea. So the objective is to try to pass through not all the rings, but enough rings that you complete like the 3 constellations on each level. So, for example, you have the water level where you have the Scorpio, Cancer, and Pisces constellations, and you have to like navigate your way through the sky or like space, pretty much, to get them to form. And the funny thing is that you can be like very strategic, because first of all, each time you pass like the little projectile through the ring, you take that space as a star. So you pretty much fire from the last ring that you filled, you filled up.
Yep.
So you have to be careful, because first of all, as I said, um, the the projectile is affected by the gravity of the stars and planets around them. So the bigger the body, very much, the bigger the pull is that it's gonna create for your projectile, and the more that is gonna distort the trajectory of the project. The other thing that you have to keep in mind is how orbits work. So in that way, you can make very, very interesting things happen. Like you could, if you fire a projectile like at just the right time, because the planetary system is moving, you can make it like do like this big loop and pretty much like reach a star that you wouldn't be able to in any other way.
Like a slingshot.
Kind of like a slingshot, yeah. So yeah, it was pretty entertaining. It's pretty much a puzzle game because you have to keep your resources in mind. That is kind of I'm gonna call it space dust, but I don't know what the fuck it was. And you can like fire through little space dust clouds to replenish your space dust. Or you can try to get like many stars in a row, because that way you will replenish one space dust on the meter for each star that you made appear. So yeah, I pretty much finished the 12 constellations that were available. Those were 4 levels. I got like only 1 trophy left, because if you complete the game like in 15 minutes or less, you get like the speedrunner trophy. And I was like, no, I'm actually good. Like, this was relaxing. I don't want to just get bored of it because I tried to speedrun it. So yeah,
I feel that.
that is the other competition that I had. And the final one, this one we played with Josh, friends of the podcast, Rick and Dragon. We played Monster Prom 3 Monster Road Trip, and it was quite entertaining. I love it. So a quick summary of the game. Monster Prom 3, Monster Road Trip. I'm just gonna call it Light Road Trip or Monster Road Trip or something like that. It's quite different from the prior Monster Prom games, because instead of having just one facility, I'm gonna say, to do things, in this thing you are like everyone is in a car together, with I forgot the name of the werewolf guy, but you had Kim and Polly guiding you around from the
Is it
first game.
Alex?
Was it Alex?
No,
I'm not
might
sure.
not be.
But yeah, you have those the chaos duo pretty much like guiding you around. Each on each player turn, you have to pick between two stops pretty much on your way. And the thing is you cannot. You will lose. You will all lose the game if any of your stats reaches 0, and you will reach an ending if one of your stats reaches 25. The ending or like the destination that you reach depends on, well, first of all, which stat you max out, but second of all, pretty much RNGs, because there's like 3 destinations for each stat, or that's what I think we noticed last time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a cooperative game in a way, because you want to not lose in a way. So you have to all keep in mind that you cannot make the stat drop below 0, but you still have some kind of competitiveness because the player that contributes the most towards the winning stat, it's the one that gets like the best ending.
Mm. And I think because everything you do contributes to all the stats that apply to everybody. But we played a PvP version, which meant whoever contributed the most ended up winning.
Yeah.
But I think there's also like a co-op version where, if one of you wins, you all win kind of thing, and it's not so individual at the end. But it is kind of co-op all the way through regardless, because, everything you do affects each other. So
yeah. It's pretty fun because we didn't know a lot of the about the game going in. The release I didn't. So so each of the players gets to choose a stop, and each of the stops has like a little story segment where you either like will rise and drop some stats. Once all players have gone through that process, you kind of like stop by a camp, and then you're able to do more interesting stuff. So, for example, you can trade items, so and that will mean that you will gain and lose stats. But also, you can talk to your guides, maybe reach a love ending with one of them, but that also will cause chaos, because that
it's
means that
Polly and Scott, by the way. I just looked up.
Scott, that was his name. I forgot.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty much everyone in the run talk with Polly at least once, I think.
She's the best.
She's the best. She's such a chaotic character, and I love her. And also you're able to like kind of like nudge to which stop you may find in a way with one of the features in the camp, or like you could nudge like who will meet you at the bus stops in the camp. And if you meet someone at the bus stop, you will get like I don't know if it is character specific, but you will get like a boost or an ability that you have to talk to the character each night, or like each camp session to activate. So, for example, we had both an ability that on each round the gains and losses were like increased by 1 or decreased by 1 or whatever.
Yep.
So in the first player will like gain or lose 2. The second one will gain or lose 3, gain or lose 4, and gain or lose 5. But also we have Polly's ability that made it so the gains were like +1, and the losses were like -1 or something like that. So we were like gaining like +6 on a stat and -4 on one at the end of the round, and that was pretty stupid, but it was pretty fun. As always, like the Monster Prom team made a fantastic job with all the reference dialogues and all that jazz. We had fun all the way through. But also, they knocked it out of the park with the art because
Yeah.
Polly and Scott, no joke, they had an outfit or an attire for each individual place that we were visiting.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that was
yeah,
really cool. They had there's basically unique art for pretty much everything you did, which
yeah,
adds up pretty quickly when you've got, loads of different locations you're going to and different characters you're visiting and all that kind of thing. And yeah, for my money as well, like I love the character designs of this game and the other characters you meet and the characters you play as. They're so creative and ridiculous but fun and so expressive, and yeah, it's just a lot of fun, really.
yeah.
And I had a lot of fun playing as the Latino sexy cat, Juan.
Yeah, it was Juan the magical Latina cat.
Yeah.
Yeah, like his art was unexpected though because he's such a tiny cat in the previous game, and now he's like,
Sexy.
I don't know if you watch Full Metal Alchemist, but he was like Mayor Armstrong, 6 packs all around. Like he has like 6 packs on his 6 packs or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was a sight to behold.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Good fun though. Definitely recommend it to anyone else who wants to play some co-op or something. Because
yeah.
I think we're going to play some more as well. Like we played one run in one session, but I think we are planning to play some more because obviously there's lots of variations and things that will change on replays. And yeah, it's a good time.
And of course, we need more ways to break our friendship.
Yeah, man, Dragon was ruthless. That
Yeah,
guy.
absolutely.
I swear.
So yeah, any more to add on Monster Prom 3? Because I'm pretty much done here.
No, I think you pretty much said it all. Like, yeah, it's the thing I liked about it especially was that not that the previous games were bad at all, but I liked that this one kind of was quite different, just to kind of change it up.
Yeah.
Whereas the previous ones seemed to focus more on like dating kind of sim funny hijinks. This one was very much obviously traveling around, going on a road trip, picking up hitchhikers, seeing what they did, and meeting new people and seeing what wacky scenarios could be come out of the developer's head, kind of thing. So I really enjoyed that. But yeah, it was good. I liked it. I'm looking forward to playing some more.
Same here. So why don't you talk about the other games you've beaten? Because you have like 3 more
I've got
games
a
over there.
couple. Yeah. So I finally finished Virtuaverse, which I've been speaking about for a bit. I was almost finished last time I spoke about it, last episode. So I don't really have much more to add other than the ending is freaking cool. Like, shit goes crazy. And I'm really glad they kind of leaned into the sci-fi bizarreness of it, because one of the main themes, which if you've heard before, I would have said before, but one of the main themes, like the big kind of meta quest that you're on in Virtuaverse, is to essentially stop the authorities from implementing this thing called permanent reality, which is a permanent chip in your head, in everyone's head, that shows augmented reality at all times. So you can't basically turn it off. So there's bits in it that hint at the fact that, they're already covering things up. Like there's entire war zones that they've just kind of painted over with augmented reality so that you can't actually see them, but they're there. So the idea is you'd be living in a world that is completely different to what you're looking at. And the cool thing is, at your final quest, which I kind of spoke about, where you go to this space station, which is where it's controlling everything, and you kind of disrupt the signal and, save the world kind of thing. But when you go there, it really leans into that kind of idea. And it goes into the whole, what you're seeing is not actually reality, and what is actually reality is completely different to perhaps what you're perceiving. And I don't want to spoil anything because it's rad, but it's just, it ended really cool. And I have to again highlight the soundtrack and the whole presentation, because there's a point right at the end where you kind of do the big thing and you succeed, and then it kind of goes, the music just kind of blasts in, and you get the title comes up like Virtuaverse, and it's just like the coolest ending of your quest that you could get, kind of thing. And yeah, it was very, very good. I highly recommend it. I think it ended up taking me about 7.5, 8 hours all up. So, decent kind of chunk of game for retro-y kind of point and click. I will highlight again though, just because people need to know, there is a lot of dialogue. It's very, very dialogue heavy. Don't go into this if you want action. Go into this if you're happy to read a lot and get into the lore and the world building and that kind of thing. Because like I say, sometimes you can spend half an hour just kind of reading dialogue and going through conversations, which are interesting and they're well written and everything, but that's kind of a lot at times.
Yeah.
So, and even I like reading a lot of stuff, but even then I noticed it, put it that way. But yeah, Virtuaverse is very, very good. I think it's at the top of its game when it comes to point and clicks, so I can heartily recommend it. I played another game called Rituals, which was just a weird game that I had. I either picked it up really cheap or I had it in my library. I can't actually remember, but it's one of those games where it's a bit experimental and I don't really know what happened, and it's a bit abstract. Like there is a narrative, but it's kind of very, very abstract and weird, so I'm not quite sure what was going on. But essentially it's like a first-person puzzle game, I suppose, where you go through about 4 or 5 different locations, and at each location you have to solve fairly rudimentary, like simple puzzles to get through and get leave and go on to the next location. So for example, one of the locations you're in a jungle kind of area, and there's like some huts around and there's like a fire and all this kind of stuff. So part of it is that you have to you realize that there's a canoe on the river that you want to get on to kind of move on to the next place, but in between you and the canoe there's a crocodile, so you've got to try and get rid of the crocodile. So you go to the village and you find some meat cooking on the barbecue, like on the fire, but if you just feed it, he just goes, oh cool, that's great, I ate some food, I'm happy. But if you go pick some certain flowers and then mix them together and stuff, you actually make a poison, which you can then put on the meat and then give to the crocodile, and the crocodile eats it and the crocodile dies. And so you've solved that puzzle kind of thing. And there's just things like that where it's fairly straightforward, but you just need to go like from A to B to C. And there's another bit where you're inside offices and you're like, it's kind of a bit Stanley Parable, like it's all empty, but you're trying to find your way through. And there's some weird stuff that you find, but ultimately you just end up going to the elevator and leaving, and that's that. There's like a weird maze type level. There's a weird kind of cemetery level where there's lots of graves everywhere, and you have to like sweep the leaves off a grave and then light some candles, and the whole thing opens up and you go inside. And it's just weird, is what I'm going to say. It's a short game, like it didn't take me long to get through, but I'm not really sure what happened. As in, it's cool. Like I like that kind of stuff. Like I had fun and I enjoyed myself, but I don't really know what the game is about and I don't really know what happened. And maybe I just didn't have my brain on that day. I can't remember. But yeah, I don't know. I just have to throw my hands up and go, I've got no idea what the hell that game was about. So, there's this thing at the end as well. The ending was kind of confusing because you basically, minor spoilers, I suppose, but you at the end you get literally a control station where you've got 2 buttons, and one button is to shut everything down and one button is to overload it and make it explode. And you realize when you do that if you make it explode, you actually make the entire Earth explode. And if you shut it down, you actually make the entire Earth shut down. And there's some message in there about kind of the environment and kind of the Earth living and existing, and
something.
Maybe I'm not smart enough to figure it out, but it was definitely one of those sorts of games. And like I say, I enjoyed it though. I played through it. I was happy to solve the puzzles and get to the end and kind of go, cool. I don't know what that was about, but that was fun. And I like that kind of stuff because it is very kind of a bit experimental, and you can tell that a very small team obviously worked on it, and it's just kind of fun to check that sort of stuff out from now and then. So yeah, that's all I need to say about that. I also just last night actually, or yesterday, completed a game called Somerville, which is Somerville, not to be confused with the season. This one was on Game Pass. This is kind of like, it felt a lot similar to a game like Inside, but it wasn't confined to like a 2D plane, even though it kind of does exist on a 2D plane. So it's got that thing of where you play as a couple of different characters, but mostly as this guy who, at the very beginning of the game, you're in your house with your family, and there's a huge alien attack on the Earth. And all these like big monolith-looking spaceships kind of appear in the sky, and they destroy a whole lot of shit around you. And there's all these weird structures and things that appear, and blah blah blah. And you basically have to initially survive, and then kind of find your way through and navigate your way through the now alien attacked landscape. And it's very much, it kind of looks, it's got similar sort of graphics to a game like Inside, I suppose. So that's why I keep trying to relate it to Inside. And the animations kind of reminded me a bit of Inside, like the way the characters move and stuff. But you do have freedom to like move around in a 3D space. So it's not like a 2D platformer. You can kind of go forward and backwards as well. But it's very linear, as in you are going along a path. It just kind of happens to not be just 2D. It does go backwards and forwards as well. But it basically could be 2D. It's the same kind of, it's as interesting, put it that way. But there are things that happen. So along the way, you discover that you actually meet some survivors. Like there are other survivors in the world. And a couple of them are like soldier-looking dudes who are jumping around and flipping and, you know, doing heaps of crazy shit and fighting the aliens. And but a couple of them kind of die along the way, and you absorb their powers. So you essentially end up with a couple of powers, which again come into the puzzle solving. So they're like these alien powers where you can either melt or harden these alien structures and stuff. So there are a lot of like weird shaped structures and things that have come out of the ground or covering other things. And if you like hit them with your blue power, it'll melt them into a liquid that'll just kind of flow away. Or if you hit them with your red power, it'll like solidify them so you can like climb on top or like stand on it or something like that. And so, you know, the obvious thing is like in front of you is a big lake that you can't get across. So you solidify it and you walk across the top, you know, easy peasy. But then they do actually kind of bring it into more complex puzzles and things as you go. And it does kind of, it gets very actiony at points because there's a lot of times where you run into like actual aliens who want to kill you. And so you're having to like run down the streets and try and hide. And, you know, kind of there are other little enemies that the aliens have kind of put on the ground to kind of chase you down and hunt you and stuff. So you have to kind of hide from them and navigate your way through certain areas without being caught, like stealthy kind of sections. And yeah, it's another kind of fairly surreal abstract game because it doesn't knock you over the head with what's going on. You just kind of figure it out as you go. And there are some kind of weird stuff, like especially towards the end, where it gets very kind of strange. But you end up communicating with these weird aliens, and depending, the very, very, very ending is you and, you know, I'm not going to say that because that would be too spoilery. But you're basically communicating with these aliens, and depending on how you communicate, you get a different ending. So that's kind of cool because that's a puzzle in itself where it's kind of like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, where you're making noises at these huge alien monolith things, and they're making noises back at you. And depending on the conversation you have, depends on, you get like one of, I think there's like 3 or 4 endings.
Nice.
And the very last one, like the quote unquote best ending, I had to look up because it's like complex as all hell. And there's like a whole sequence of things you have to do that I don't know how you'd ever figure it out. I'm not that smart, but maybe some people are, and I take my hat off to you. But yeah. So it was a really cool game because basically the appeal of this game for me was more the setting, because there's no dialogue or anything. So it's that kind of stuff where through world building and through interactions and stuff, that's how you learn what's going on, and that's how you get told the story. And I really like that because it's kind of a good way of telling a story, I think, because you're just showing instead of telling. And the sound design is really good. Like the aliens all make these kind of, I want to say like Inception noises, and to communicate and stuff, like they do a lot of blah, and they make a lot of noises like that, like big kind of horn sounding noises. So yeah, the sound design is really, really cool. and definitely adds to the whole like world building and everything. And yeah, it's got kind of a weird enough and abstract enough story to make it interesting, but it's not so crazy like Rituals, which kind of didn't make any sense. This one kind of does actually make sense, and you know, perhaps it's less interesting in that sense, in that way for some people, but for me, I really liked it because it's total environmental storytelling and just doing stuff and figuring it out as you go. And yeah, it's not too challenging. Like there's a few sections which are, let's say I died and had to do it again, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward and a lot of fun. And I played it on Game Pass, so you know, easy peasy, easy recommend. Unlike the one game I retired, which is the first game I've retired in a while, which was also a Game Pass game, so again, not too hard to retire. But it's a game called Infinite Guitars, which has so much promise, and I really thought I was going to get into, but ended up just being too much of not enough, I guess, because it's a game that kind of combines a Guitar Hero style rhythm game with a kind of JRPG turn-based battle system and a kind of top-down live real-time action system like Hyperlight Drifter kind of style CRPG kind of game, or ARPG I should say. So the three of those things together were kind of okay, but I wish they'd just stuck to one of them. Ultimately the rhythm game, because that was the bit that I was having fun with and the rest was kind of annoying. But it's a fantasy kind of game where you live in a world where guitars essentially are central to everything. So the game itself is top down and you move around a map, and the art's cool. It's kind of cartoony, but you know, nothing that really excited me, but you know, fine enough, put it that way. But you start off on a planet or a location, I can't remember which, where you know everything's kind of shut down and there are bad alien robots, or not necessarily alien robots, but there's robots who've destroyed everything, and there's you and like your sensei who's like the guitar master guy, and he's like, you got to go around and like defeat the bad guys, dude. And you're like, okay, cool. And so to like power up things and unlock gates and stuff, you find like guitars that have been, or sword guitars that have been like jabbed into the ground, but then have wires connecting them to other things. So basically you go up to them and you hit a button and you start doing like a Guitar Hero style rhythm game. And if you succeed with enough percentage notes hit and all that kind of stuff, it activates the sword, and it like sends the electrical current down to whatever, and like you open the gate that you're trying to get through, or whatever else you're trying to do. And then there are certain enemies in the world, which is like more action kind of side of stuff, where you have to like dodge them as you move around. So you've got like a roll that kind of gives you iframes, so you can roll through shockwaves and stuff. You can hit things with your guitar. That's like your weapon. And then when you actually fight bigger enemies, it goes into this turn-based mode where as they attack you, you can kind of move around and then like dodge when you're about to get hit. But it's kind of in a very 2D kind of almost like a Pokemon looking style screen. There's you and them. And then when you attack, you, depending on the type of attack you might do a bit of a quick rhythm game to like play something on your guitar, or you might have to hit buttons in a certain sequence or something to pull off an attack, which then obviously, you know, does various things to your enemy. And that's kind of as much as I experienced of the game, because I got a bit bored and annoyed and stopped playing it. Mostly because I really enjoyed the rhythm guitar stuff and the rhythm game section, because it was kind of on a sweet spot for me where it was challenging enough, but I could still do it. And I'm not the best at those sorts of rhythm games, but yeah, even on normal difficulty, I still managed to kind of get through it. Most of the time I have to turn it down because I'm that crap. But the rest of it, though, was kind of just boring, and like they were trying to do too much. Like if they kept it as the rhythm game was the entire way that you attacked and did stuff and interacted with things, I think I would have kept playing it because that was enjoyable. But going from that to then a turn-based thing where it's like, oh, I've got to wait for it to be my turn, and then I've got to hit the button, and then it's just, and then going as you move around the world, having to like dodge just arbitrary things, and it's, yeah, those sections I didn't really find very enjoyable at all. Whereas I like the whole concept of the game. The art was cool. Like I said, the soundtrack was cool, as you would expect with having rhythm elements. But yeah, I just wish it was just the rhythm game, really. Like they tried to squeeze too much into the box. But so yeah, it got a bit boring, and I only ended up playing about an hour and a half or something, and then going, yeah, I've had enough. So that's Infinite Guitars, and that's my first retirement for a while. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you broke the streak we had right there.
I know. I mean, I'm all down for retiring stuff anyway. Like I don't actually mind, but I do like to think that perhaps if I don't retire something, it means I've been playing a lot of fun games, so that's a good thing. But yeah. What about games we have completed? Paula, take it away.
You mean games we've been playing?
We're playing, yes, we have done completed. Sorry.
It's okay. So I've been playing a bunch of stuff, some more than others. Actually, let me like swap a couple of things real quick here in the agenda, because I'm gonna be stuck on that last one. Okay, so first of all, I've been playing Civilization 5 and pretty much like a hot seat duel with my boyfriend's brother. Since I've been living at my boyfriend's house, we go with his brother like a couple of days a week at uni, like together, because we have classes like at the same time in the morning. And the thing is, we always get like there like half an hour before class. So at some point, I was like, "Hey, why don't we play a game of Civ? Because I remember you like playing that." He plays Civ 6 for like 500 hours, and I play like Civ 5 for like 4 hours. So pretty well balanced there.
Yeah.
We're not too far into the game, and I've been learning a lot about Civ 5. So to illustrate how ignorant I was about the ways of Civ, I didn't realize that there were like some stats like the food production or the production, I guess, or like the gold production. And I wasn't quite sure on how to make those stats different. I just thought that if you build like a farm, whatever, your production would increase or like your food would increase and stuff like that.
Yep.
I didn't realize that first of all, so you have your units that you train, and those cost production points. And the amount of turns that takes to develop depends on your the production of production points per turn. And the thing is that besides the units you train, you have actual citizens, and those citizens are the ones you assign to a slot inside your city or your settlement, and those slots are the ones that impact the overall production.
Right.
So, for example, if you have like above a certain amount of food, you would have like more villagers born every, I don't know, like 4 turns or something like that, and you can use them like to increase production in another area. The gold is pretty much used for either insta buy like certain units or like expand your city and stuff like that. And production is impacts the speed of your buildings or like your unique productions and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, needless to say, I didn't know shit about the game, and my boyfriend's brother pretty much had to teach me how to manage all those hidden stats, and I say hidden in very big air quotes because they were hidden to me because I never realized they existed. So just with that little piece of information, I've done quite a lot more than I had done in like my previous attempt at playing Civ.
If it helps, I still don't really understand how any of that works. And I've played a lot more Civ than you have, but not necessarily very well. So
True. The other things that we pretty much picked like the smallest map available. So we already ran into each other's cities, and we're like, okay, we are making like a temporary truce here, but we're gonna eventually end up at each other's throats. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, learning about Civ in 2024 when I already played Civ. I don't know how many years ago, but anyway. Um, I'll keep you all updated on how things go. Right now, I'm just like trying to improve my production so I can do more stuff. So I
Mm-hmm.
can try to improve my other stuff. So I
What
can try to kill people.
who are you? Like, what is your civilization?
What was my save? I kind of forgot. We actually had to restart the game because I did a stupid and didn't set the second player as an actual player. So on the first attempt, I had Japan, but I don't know who I had anymore. Um, he has the starting city of Istanbul. I have the starting city of I don't fucking know.
So Istanbul would be Turkey, I'd imagine,
I
or
think.
Ottomans maybe for Civ, something like that. I don't know. I'm just guessing. I'm probably wrong. Just before anyone tells me.
Hmm. So yeah, learning to play safe, the right way this time around. Um,
Hooray!
it's been quite fun. I'll keep you all updated on my future adventures up there. Um,
Nice.
so keep checking. The other game that I kind of played was New Pokemon Snap for Nintendo Switch. I
Mm-hmm.
was talking about this earlier with Josh, but we have kind of like a club fair at university. So I'm actually kind of like the administrator or boss of the Pokemon community at university. And I'm kind of like reviving the community, making it rise from the ashes like a whole. Mainly because after the pandemic, the group kind of died. And also, the prior administrator of the group, the one that created the thing on the webpage of the university, kind of forgot to give me access to things and stuff like that. And when he left, the community kind of went poof and didn't exist anymore on the database. So I am in the process of pretty much bureaucracy hell.
Nice.
And since we have this fair, it was like, okay, time to grab people. I have to sell smoke over here. Maybe we can make things happen here. Um,
Nice.
uh, so yeah, one thing that I prepared was having new Pokemon Snap be a playable thing. But since I wasn't able to get a screen, I had to use my computer as a screen. And I had to use a capture card, which I had, so that was the plan. The
Nice.
thing is that the capture card uses a 3.0 USB port, and the only one that I had was the not micro, the USB-C port. So I had to get an adapter, which we luckily have at the time. So I
Okay.
had this Frankenstein of a machine over here,
Yeah.
a monstrosity of cables, and I had to try out the setup. So I played Pokemon Snap, new Pokemon Snap for a while. Remember how fucking fun it was, and I set it all up on the fair, only to realize we were moved further away from the plaques, and I was like asking for like this extensor cable thingy, so I was to be able to plug everything in, which I bring, and it was broken. So I had to ask them to swap the thing.
See, I don't know what to tell you, but like Pokemon's not good.
But anyway, like I'm gonna like save to myself like the rest of fucking cable shenanigan thingy. At the end of the day, I managed to make like a couple of people play the new Pokemon Snap game on like the regular tablet mode of the Switch, which was okay, good enough. But still, I would have loved to have like a pretty Pokemon game on display to kind of like pick on the attention of more people. So I have to be more crafty and research to other things. But anyway, um,
Sounds good.
those adventures aside, I realized that even though I kind of like got to the end credits of the game by photographing every single Pokemon available in the game, each Pokemon has like 4 kind of like poses, situations kind of thingy where you can photograph them on.
Right.
I don't have all of those, so maybe I'm still like on the fence about it, but I might start like try to feel everything out. At the very least until I get bored again. But yeah, like just a chill game, and not sure if I'm gonna keep playing it because I got like a couple of more um addictions over here. First of all, Slice and Dice on Android. So my boyfriend yesterday, he was like bored at a waiting room, and he was like looking at games on mobile phone or like Android or tablet, whatever, that were like a one-time purchase or free, and they didn't have ads. They weren't like gacha games, stuff like that. And one of the games that he found was Slice and Dice, which is kind of like a roguelike, I think. I played the demo and it was pretty good. So in Slice and Dice, you have a party of heroes. I think there are always 5, but they're like randomized. And each one has like a dice. And each die has like on each of its facets, faces, whatever. It has like either like attack, shield, ability, or just a big fat X that means that it won't do anything. If it falls into that phase. So you roll the dice. You have to pretty much select the ones that you are keeping on your party. Like, okay, you do this, you do this, you do this, and roll until you either run out of rolls or you find the combination of things you're looking for, and the enemy does pretty much the same. So it's a fairly strategic game. It still has an amount of luck. Like, if Aaron Jesus doesn't love you, you won't get the shield rolls that you need to survive to the next round. It almost happened to me. You can do kind of like change a bit your dice in a way that you're more that there's a higher probability for you to roll something useful. Um, and after each battle, you either get like a new item, one of your units like is able to get promoted. And there was like another event which I don't quite remember. Um, the game is pretty fun. Like, I completed the demo, 10 out of 10. Like, holy crap, it is really fun. I am just waiting to have enough money to get the full version. And
Nice.
finally, my latest addiction, another Android game, and this one I am borrowing, quote unquote, or more or less stealing my boyfriend's Android tablet to play, is Mini Metro. So it
Great
is kind
game.
of like a puzzle game. Yeah, it is amazing because you have like a map or like a layout, I'm gonna say, of a city, which is pretty much like where the water or like the river goes through, and you have to make a metro system, and you have like so you have like kind of like I'm gonna say like a timer or like a calendar or whatever, and at the end of each week you get a new train, and you could also get you get to select between a couple of things. They could be like channels, it could be a new line, it could be a
Traps
weapon,
as
or
well,
like,
and
yeah. So you have to. We're like in the high score kind of mode, so we're just trying to uh, try to get like the highest possible score before we get more of the map and run to the next one.
yep.
So yeah, I'm gonna be talking about this game for a while because holy crap, it is very, very addictive. Again, it's kind of like Aaron Jesus kind of thing, where if Aaron Jesus doesn't love you, you're gonna have to cross that river like continuously and pray to God that you get channels. But you have to be very careful because some stages will kind of change. Like a triangle may become a star, or things like that. Like a square will become a diamond, and you have to keep in mind on the passengers, like where do they want to go. So you have to make it so one station gets crowded to the point that you have to close the metro. So yeah, that's everything I've been playing.
Well, if
Holy
you
crap.
really get run away with Mini Metro, there's also Mini Motorways, which is kind of the sequel by the same mob.
Oh crap.
I've played them both on Steam, and yeah, they're phenomenal puzzle games and very, very addictive and very, very cool. So I feel your pain.
Well then, let's see if I see the light of day ever again. So what have you been playing then?
Just a few this week. I started a game called Overload, which I'm very excited about because for anyone listening who used to play the game Descent back in the 90s, there was Descent 1, Descent 2, and Descent 3 that I particularly remember playing a lot of. I played the shit out of those games. Essentially, you play as a spaceship kind of robot dude who goes into space mines to attack rogue space robot workers who are attacking you. And it's very simple because it's a 90s premise. And you essentially, it's a 6 degrees of freedom game. So you can move in all directions, in all, up, down, left, right, backwards, forwards. You can turn upside down, you can float around and stuff because you're in space. And you're going through these maze-like mines in the middle of planets and moons and stuff. And there are lots of like enemies and stuff who attack you. And so you've got to manage your weapons and your resources and your health and shields and all that kind of stuff. And, basically kill everyone and free the prisoners or whatever, and then escape at the end after you kind of set the reactor to explode kind of thing. And that's pretty much every level, but it gets harder and harder and more challenging and more confusing as you go. And Overload is basically a new game by the same devs who made Descent. And it's a new version of the original game, essentially, but different, obviously, because it's not the original game. But basically everything else about it is the same. Like, it feels the same, it plays the same, except maybe it feels a bit faster and more responsive because you can move around really quickly and you can change direction really quickly, and there's momentum and stuff because it's actual, 3D physics and things that the original game didn't have much of because it was quite early days 3D. And yeah, it's a very simple game, but I am having a blast with it because it's just straight up spaceship fighting other spaceship combat type game, and it's a good time. So especially if you're a fan of Descent, I would say check it out. Otherwise, I don't know, your mileage may vary. I feel like part of my enjoyment of this game is that I'm there going, hey, I'm playing a game that's basically the same as Descent, and Descent was awesome. So there's a chance that that's why I'm enjoying it. And that's enough for me, but it might not be good for other people. So I'm playing that. I'm also playing a classic point-and-click, modern classic point-and-click called Gemini Rue, which is a Wadget Eye game. For those who know of the studio Wadget Eye, they made the Blackwell games.
A what?
Like Blackwell Deception, Blackwell Perception, Blackwell whatever else. There's like 4 or 5 of them in the series. They made games like The Shiver, and I'm sure there's some others that I can't remember. But they basically make a whole lot of kind of 16, 32-bit point-and-click adventures. Like, it's what they do. They just kind of churn them out. And they make good ones. Like, they also made, what was the other one? I forget. But they've made some pretty famous ones as well. And they're kind of like a studio that if you like one of their games, you're going to like all the rest of their games. And for, modern day 2010-ish point and clicks, they do a good job. And the animations are great. The art's detailed enough. Everything is voice acted. And the stories are quite lengthy and complex. They usually involve some sort of mystery that you're trying to solve. And of course, like point and click gameplay. So that sort of puzzle solving and, moving about and adventure and all that kind of thing. Gemini Rue itself is not in a series as far as I can tell, but you basically start off the game playing as a detective who's looking for your brother, I think. And you've got to lead to some other dude who will then hopefully lead you to your brother. So you've got to kind of walk around the streets of this city where it's, it's kind of very film noir. It's like constantly raining and he's wearing a big trench coat and he's like, oh, I'm a detective. And but it's kind of semi sci-fi as well. Like there's some futuristic elements of it, but it's not like hard, heavy sci-fi. It's a bit kind of, there are technologies and things that you can use that are a little bit different. Because then as well, that to add to that, you then swap to another character who I think is his brother, but I'm not sure, who's basically been imprisoned in this facility. And then you play as that character and you kind of swap between the two. Like each chapter goes from one to the other. So you're playing both of their stories at the same time, and I'm sure they'll meet up eventually. But the guy who's been imprisoned in this facility, kind of, you wake up and you get told that your memory's been erased, and you'd agreed to have it erased because that's kind of something that they do regularly here. And you essentially have to get trained in becoming a bit of a badass kind of assassin-y type dude. And then once you're finished training, you pass your exam, quote unquote. And I feel like the impression that they give you is that if you pass your exam, you either get reset or you get killed or you get brainwashed and sent off to fight somewhere or something like that, because there's this whole kind of underground conspiracy going on with this facility where other people are like, oh, don't pass your exam, like make sure you fail it so that, you know, you can come and escape with us and we can get out of here, because it's like a prison where they just keep resetting our brains and they're like doing tests on us and stuff. And, you know, it's this weird dystopian kind of thing. But it's kind of interesting. I haven't got far enough to really know what's going on, so I don't know if any of that is really spoilery. But it probably isn't, because I don't know if it is or not. But it's cool. As far as a point and click goes, it's much better than Lost Horizon. I'll give it that straight up. But if you have played a Wadger Eye game, it's very much a Wadger Eye game. Like, it's the same developer, it's the same kind of style, it's the same kind of writing. It's very similar kind of humor when there is humor. And for me, it's a bit hit and miss, but overall, they tend to make decent point and click adventures. So, you know, I'll definitely see it through and play it till the end, but stay tuned for that one. And then finally, I picked up Street Fighter V again because not so long ago I got a Capcom Humble Bundle, which I've mentioned before, and it had Street Fighter V in it. I had started the game on PlayStation, but I'd rather play it on PC anyway, so I retired my PlayStation playthrough and I just now started it again on PC. And this game, man, like Street Fighter is Street Fighter, but I remember when this game came out, it got canned for its story mode / single player mode. And because they do a couple of things, they've got the typical arcade mode where, you know, you face a series of opponents and when you win, you win. Cool. But then they had like there's the character story mode, so you can play through like Ryu's story or Chun-Li's story or whoever else, everyone in the cast, you can play through their story. But other than playing like 2 fights for the entire story, you get like still image comic book style cartoons of the characters talking to each other, and then that's about it. There's like 3 or 4 stills, and that's the whole story. And when it came out, I remember people being really disappointed and going, well, this is kind of crap, and it feels like it's concept art instead of the game and all this kind of thing. And so I'm like, yeah, cool, I'll play through it anyway because I got it in the bundle. I enjoyed playing Street Fighter, and I like story modes in those games just because. But there on the menu, there's like the character story mode, which is where you play each character. But then there's the general story mode, which is like the big whole game kind of story mode. But it's grayed out, and I can't select it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow.
Maybe you need to go through all the characters.
Well, I was thinking this. I thought maybe because your account kind of levels up the more you play and all that kind of thing. So I played through all the tutorials, thinking maybe that's where it's locking it. I played through a number of the characters, not all of them because there's like heaps, because this is, you know, the definitive edition of the game, so it's got all the additional characters as well. And then after a while, it just wasn't, I couldn't find any way to do it, so I Googled it, and it's a free DLC that you have to download from Steam to be able to play it. And I'm like, okay. so I did that.
Why is that a thing?
Why is it? Yeah. Well, after some more research, I kind of figured out that because it was so poorly received when the game was released, they kind of made the campaign after the fact. and then added it as DLC because everyone was complaining so much. So they thought, oh, okay, we better do this, and then we better make it free so that you don't have to pay for it because it should have been there in the first place. And I haven't played it yet. I haven't started the general campaign yet, so I don't know if it's any good. But yeah, that's why you have to kind of download it separately to then play it within the same game. It just pissed me off. I hate that kind of crap. I'm like, definitely. Just make it part of the whole game. Like, why just add it as a patch? Don't add it as a freaking DLC. Like, because I spent like 15 minutes just wondering why I can't access this menu item. And because the menu item's there, you just can't click on it. And yeah, just that kind of stuff annoys me greatly. And also the game, like I'm not really digging the graphics in Street Fighter V. Like, it's been a while since I played it, but everyone looks like a real cartoony, silly, kind of puffed up version of themselves. And it's not vibing for me. I don't know what they did in Street Fighter 6 because I haven't played it, and I haven't played Street Fighter 4 for a long time, but I feel like 4 was a bit better. And it just feels really, I don't know. I don't have a very good impression of Street Fighter 5 this time around. So maybe that'll change over time, but I kind of don't think it will. The gameplay is still Street Fighter, so, there's that. That's fine. The mechanics are all cool, and it's a very good fighting game in the sense of systems and mechanics and all that. But the things that make it different for me are like the story mode or the graphics or, that kind of stuff. And that is a bit disappointing. So, yeah, we'll see. Maybe it'll grow on me over time, but I don't think so.
Maybe we'll see another retirement next week.
See, now I've started it. I've got the itch, and I do enjoy playing the game. So I will play through at least all the character stories and probably the general story, and then I'll probably call it quits. But even if I think the graphics are a bit weird. But anyway, that's, jumping into Street Fighter 5 again is kind of weird. I almost want to play some more. I want to get and play Street Fighter 6 just to see where they went graphically, because they've made some weird decisions in the last few games. But anyway, that's by the by. Let's get on to our topic of the day, because time is racing. And today we're going to talk about games from the point of view of a girl. Obviously, for those wondering, I am not a girl. I do not identify as a girl, and I never have. So I'm going to lean a lot on Paula for this segment, because her opinion is probably way more valid than anything I can add, although I will add things where I can and, give my opinion. But essentially, I want to hear from Paula about these sorts of things because she knows firsthand. So I'll hand it over to you, Paula. Let's go on a journey.
Get here. Where do I even start? Like, across the years, like, I've always been a very avid, I don't want to say gamer, but I always been playing video games. Even from when I remember, pretty much.
Yep.
But as time went by, I realized that not many games played not many people in general play at my school when I was growing up. Some of the guys were like more okay. Some of the guys were more interested in gaming. But it was a rare hobby for my female classmates. Not that they didn't play it at all. Some of my best friends at the time did enjoy either playing The Sims or Age of Empires 2. One of them even had like a PlayStation. I don't remember which one at the time. And we enjoyed playing GTA. But yeah, it was more less usual to see like girls openly enjoying video games at that time, which has changed in recent years because my nephew said like pretty much everyone plays on their phone at this point at the school. So that's a change for the better, because I feel like us girls don't get like looked down upon like when we try playing multiplayer games. So we were talking about this previously, but playing multiplayer as a girl meant one of two things. If you have like inconspicuous enough username, sometimes you were just treated like one of the guys.
Yep.
But if not, which I don't remember which name tag I had before coming up with Pokepaw, you will pretty much always be the one girl that plays video games. So as well, like at some point, I don't know in League of Legends, but what was my username? But pretty much if I made like any mistake at all, or like a couple of mistakes in a row, the League of Legends community is actually like pretty toxic. You'd be sent up to the kitchen like really quick if they notice you're a girl and you're not. Maybe if you had like just a bad moment, like you're out.
Yeah.
Though that would be said like for everything. Like holy crap, there's some real hate between different Latin American countries. There's some either like racial. I don't want to say racial. It's more like um specific against country slurs sometimes. So I guess gender is not the only way they discriminate. Not that it makes it okay, but yeah, I did realize that.
Well, and I think just on that I think people obviously love to be in groups and defend their group and attack the other group, whatever that is. Because yeah, I've been abused online as well, just for being crap at a game or messing something up or whatever. But I think the like you're saying, the downside to, at least I hope it's getting better, and you can tell us about that anyway. But the downside to just being a girl, I think, is I've been on voice chats in games where suddenly a girl will talk and all the other guys are like, "Oh fuck it, it's a girl, oh my god." Like and I think I'm just like, what the hell is wrong with you people?
Yeah, like I don't know what's up with some people online, but it's almost like they see a girl playing on their team on a game, and it's like, holy crap, girls exist over here. And we're really like this magical legendary being at some point.
But not in a good way, which is weird.
That's yeah, it is pretty weird. There are like some very pleasant to talk to people on the internet, which I have the chance to meet. Like overall, How Long to Beat is a very wholesome community in that regard. Like I never been like mistreated or like discriminated against because of my gender, or even like because I'm not a English is not my first language, so in some forums maybe you'll be discriminated against because you speak like in a broken manner, or like you make like grammatical errors and you are like harder to understand than most people. But this community is pretty wholesome in general. Twitter or like anything else media related is another history. Like some of my mutuals on Twitter, like people whom I talk to with in a regular basis, have like very not good things happen to them. Like they either get like called out for being a girl and playing games that, oh no, you're a girl and you're playing my game. No, go play your girly games and stuff like that. But there will be times where people are usually like cool with a particular streamer or something like that. And then that streamer even like dares to mention they have a partner. And like parasocial relationships are like a serious thing. But multiple times I've seen a girl that I follow say, hey, I had this guy saying that they are pretty much like not ever gonna watch me ever again, or like support me ever again, or like pull support from my Patreon because I either had a partner, I'm married, had a kid, or whatever. It's like, dude, I cannot say more than just dude because it's stupid.
It's so bizarre, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, like in general, in at the very least in real life when I play like competitive Pokemon and stuff like that, I've had mostly a pleasant time until I get the attention from the wrong guy. Like when you're in a very male dominated space, like competitive whatever, you usually get like unwanted attention. So I actually met my ex at a Pokemon tournament on Pokemon Day. He wasn't like the best guy. I dropped him like in a year or less, pretty much. But at the next Pokemon competition, I was friends with a couple of people, and one of the guys was pretty much waiting for me to finish with my ex to try to make a move, and I was like, "Dude, what the fuck? I thought we were friends."
Yeah.
And it was like, "But no, you're too nice. I thought we had something special." Like, holy crap! Have you ever talked with decent people in your life before? Being nice is like the norm.
Yeah. Like I was just thinking, especially when you're friends, you're nice to each other as well, funnily enough. Like
Yeah. So I found that kind of stupid. So yeah. It only happened in those two instances, I think.
Yeah.
Usually I like when I went to a DCG tournament here in Chile, I actually brought my boyfriend with me. As a wall, pretty much.
Yeah.
But that particular crew was a lot more decent, and I was treated like just one of them, even though I was literally the only girl at the competition, and there were like 200 people there.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like the classic thing of like most people, like guys and girls, are fine because I imagine they are, but it just takes like a few or one dickhead to ruin it basically for everybody.
Yep.
Which is a shame.
It is a real shame. Though still, I met a lot of wonderful people through different events and stuff. As I said, I'm part of the Pokemon community. I am part of this TCG community, and I've talked with a lot of people that maybe we're acquaintances, maybe we are friends, whatever they feel like. There's nothing more than that. But the release, I've been able to have like a pleasant time at the community, especially like here in my university. Like I said, in my school, like it was very rare for girls to play video games or like play them openly at the very least. First of all, the university that I assist to, especially like that particular campus, since it is the campus for scientific, like physics, physics and mathematics science, where like 90% of the people are nerds, one way or another. So everyone is openly a nerd, or like at the very least that 90% of the people either like watch anime, read manga, play any kind of video game, stuff like that. So I felt way more at home there, and I actually even met fellow Otome players there. So I'm actually very happy. But now I'm just gonna brush off like that negative stuff about competitive and like player interaction, because that's just one of the factors, or like one of the um things from this point of view. But for example, in video games, we've had a lot of female representation, like lately, like um like in the very old times. I don't know, like Mario had to save what was her name, Pauline, or like the Princess Peach and stuff like that. Even Link always had to save Zelda, but these characters began to be like their own character in a way. So Peach now has like their own games. Princess Zelda has a more pivotal role in the story besides being a damsel in distress. At the very least, like it was just in Zelda 1 and 2. I think in A Link to the Past, she plays, I'm gonna say, a more active role. I'm not sure, but at the very least, in Ocarina of Time, she goes out of her way to help Link in her own way.
Yep.
So it's kind of nice to see not only female characters in general getting more agency in the story and being like more than just either at themselves on distress or like a stereotypical female character or whatever. They get their own stories, they get more developed, and they get like their own rhyme and reason for being a particular way. But the one thing that I really like the most is that we're actually getting representation within like the protagonists of the games. Though they're still less prevalent than the kind of like pre-made or like predetermined male character in games.
Yep.
And you still can choose, like there are games that you can choose like male, female, and so many you can choose like non-binary stuff, which is beautiful. Like all the more power to you for being able to feel represented in a game, like in your favorite story or whatever. But the amount of games that had like a predefined female protagonists are still like not pretty rare because they're on the rise, but still a less quantity of games that have like that predetermined like male character.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a shame because like there are ways, like I noticed especially like with otome games, there are stories or like situations that can only be told from a female perspective or from a certain perspective in general. One such example being Olympia Soares. The whole point of the game is that Olympia has to find a partner to pretty much keep her bloodline as like the daughters of Amaterasu, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the only reason this whole story can go through from beginning to end and make any kind of sense is because she's able to bear children.
Yeah.
So in that regard, like her being a specific gender does matter. And so in other otome games, like I'm trying to think like a particular one that it's like, yeah, it cannot be like any other way. I think Ascension Day could be like another one. Not gonna go in, I don't know, into like particular detail. Cupid Parasite is another one.
But I think as well on top of that, there's nothing wrong with saying I just want to tell a story either from a female perspective or about female characters or whatever. Just as there's nothing wrong with saying I want to do a male story either. Like, but I imagine as I've noticed this with friends of mine who are other races or skin colors, they love seeing things with different skin colors and races represented on TV or movies or games or anything, because it's just like, oh, cool. That's me. I understand that. And I imagine it's a similar thing for gender, because it's like, oh yeah, I'm a girl. I know what it's like to be a girl. Like, off we go. And
yeah, because like you can relate to the character to another level when you go through like similar things, either being because of gender, because of mental health, because cultural difference, because of race.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, the more variety we have in representation in general, the more we can end up understanding one another, because we see things in games from a different point of view.
Well, and I think just one more thought on that. Sorry to interrupt you again, but
it's okay.
As a dude, as a regular white male, I enjoy playing games which feature people who don't look like me or who aren't my gender or who have different cultures or whatever, because then I feel like I can actually learn a thing or two and be exposed to these things. And it's always bothered me when I hear other dudes being like, but why can't I play as a white guy and be myself? And it's like, well, this is way more interesting anyway. Like, plays the girl, plays the foreigner or whatever, and it might actually be kind of interesting to see what that's all about, because in real life I've got no freaking idea. Obviously, I am who I am.
Yeah, and this comes with another point, is that, as you mentioned, there are people that are like, wait, but why can't I have, like, I don't know, the male being the default, or like the male version of the character or whatever? As I say, some stories only work with a certain kind of protagonist, because everyone has their own story, everyone has their own issues and their own goals, and a lot of factors on how society sees you, or like what can you do in society, play a role. But the other thing is that, hey, dude, you've been playing as the white male character ever since games were games. Let us have this.
Yeah. Well, and how boring. Like, yeah, we've done that. Let's do something else.
Yeah. And in that, I also have like a fandom was not here. Because each time, and I say each time, either Idea Factory International or Axis Games says, hey, we're localizing an Achome game. The guys that love playing like all games, or like play waifu games, I'm gonna call them, because not all of them are like visual novels. Some of them are like RPGs, but with waifus and stuff like that. The guys just complain because they're like, hey, you're putting resources on things that we, the guys, of course, your main demographic, do not like. And I'm like, hey, you entitled little shit. You already have like game per month from different publishers that cater to your tastes. We have like at some point we have like 3 atomic games per year.
Yeah.
Like from all the publishers. And now we have like a decent influx of girls Spanish, of games we actually like, to actually choose from, and not be forced to buy every single one because we think the industry is gonna die. So, dude, let us have this again. And that's the thing. Like, when when publishers realize, hey, there's a market that is not being touched here. The market that is already have their flow of games starts like saying, hey, we're getting resources from our games taken away from us to make games we don't like. And that is stupid, because they're like opening a mini branch of another game. So they try, like, they first try the market, and then they start like publishing more games on that genre if they do well. And since this is actually improved, by the way, it is said that it is usually said that Fuyoshi and like girls in general are the backbone of the economy on certain fandoms.
Yeah, I'd believe that.
Fuyoshi being like the people that like boy love stuff, and which I'm a bit guilty of it, but still love Otome more. But still, I've seen many mutuals on Twitter pretty much saying, hey, I work for a reason.
Yeah.
To buy more Tutti Boy merch here.
Right on.
And the amount of merch girls buy is staggering. Like, okay, so I've seen guys in general like drop money like in figuring, like in those kind of like more expensive figures of characters they really really like. But those are like the minority, and they usually like follow a series of games, or like a series of whatever.
Yeah.
On a more calmer scale, I'm gonna say. But there are exceptions, of course. There are exceptions. I've seen guys pour like stupid amount of money on figurines, and I'm not gonna judge because I am the same. More power to you. You enjoy your hobbies. If you can afford it,
yeah,
keep supporting your hobbies. That's the way I like it. But I've seen it more like in female-dominated spaces that we just like our to pour money into our favorite characters, our favorite voice actors, our favorite artists even. Like the illustrator fairs that I've gone to are dominated by the female public. It is stupid and I love it. And so yeah, um it is very interesting how, in a way, since like they're like complaining about companies catering to us now, when it is because we tend to buy more things related to our hobby.
Because it's good business.
And that's all the thing. It is business.
They make a lot of money.
Money makes the monkey dance.
Exactly.
So yeah, and I know, like, in the talking about the community, by the way, well, it is kind of hit or miss sometimes in communities on how you're treated.
Yeah.
In my opinion, like, usually in the Nintendo fandoms, no one cares who you are. If you're enjoying Nintendo games, you're welcome. Unless you're in the Zelda fandom talking about the timeline, because holy fuck, that's always a sandstorm. There's an official Zelda timeline, and people are like, no, that's actually wrong.
Cool.
But yeah, like, there are certain fandoms that are kind of like, no, we're toxic, but more, what's the word? There's less peace there. They're not directly toxic, but you're gonna be debating with people for a while.
Yep.
But one of my favorite communities is the Otome Twitter and like the Choyose community in particular in Twitter. Well, not all Choyose, but at the very least, like the Otome Twitter, because each time one of the tweets of our Otome mutuals leaves the fandom and gets shit by any other fandom, everyone runs and defend her. Like, you fight, you pick a fight with one of us, you pick a fight with all of us, like, because we are a very small community, so the one thing that we can do is pretty much try to make it a safe space for the other girls.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, in a way, even though there are some communities where there is kind of like infighting and stuff like that, in most communities, we, except the Reddit community, do not go to the Otome Reddit community if you want peace. But in most Otome communities, girls are like, hey, let's talk about 2D fandoms and let's be happy about it. And it is beautiful. The Animal Crossing community, like, I'm pretty sure that it is like half and half, but the more a lot of people from the Jamaican community like to decorate and make like custom patterns and stuff like that for their favorite Animal Crossing games and share the love with everyone about the game. So in that regard, it is a pretty chill place.
Yep.
And we just stick together and play things together, and it is beautiful. One more thing that is like kind of like the less pretty part of being a girl who likes video games is that a lot of times we're not taken seriously by our male counterparts. So, and this happens for not only girls but everyone. That some people that play, like, in their opinion, more hardcore games, they will say you're not a gamer because you play Animal Crossing, because you play Candy Crush. And it's like, dude, I play video games, by definition, I'm a gamer. So fuck off. And some assume that because they see you playing like more chill or casual, or like even like those feel good games that are like more I'm gonna say more relaxing than other games, or like even like slower paced games, or like things like that, that you're incapable of playing games that are not like that. Like, dude, back in my day when I was like at the like at my golden age of playing Warcraft 3, I was able to it happened a couple of times where most of my teammates like one of my teammates like would abandon the game, and the other two would say like, "Oh well, we're fucked, so we abandoned the ship too." I ended up managing the 4 players, myself included, and beating the other 4-player team. Like,
Yeah.
I can kick your ass if I'm well trained. So keep that in mind. So,
But I think as well, it's worth saying as well, like you don't have to prove yourself either, though. Like that's great, and I'm sure you'd kick my ass for sure. But but the fact that you even have to prove yourself is kind of a bit shit as well. Like even if you are crap, it doesn't mean you're any worse or less
of a
gamer. Like I'm pretty crap at a lot of games, but I still consider myself a bit of a gamer. So
yeah, so there's like 2 things going on here. First of all, if you like more laid back experience, or you're not into like the more mainstream kind of games, people look at you weird.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, you can like what you like. If you're like my aunt and only play Candy Crush, it's okay. Do what you like on your free time. No one's gonna judge you. I hope. As long as you're not hurting anyone.
No one should judge you, yeah.
Yeah, we should judge you then. But like, if you only play Animal Crossing, go for it. Like, I have a friend that only plays Otome games and Just Dance, because she says like, if I have more buttons to mess with, then I'm gonna mess up. So she doesn't like to play other games, and that's respectable too. And so yeah, like on one hand, don't judge people that like to play games that you are not used to playing, because at the end of the day, gaming is about having fun, so they can play whatever they want.
Yeah, exactly.
At the same time, if you see someone who plays laid back games, and then they tell you, hey, let's play a one-on-one, I don't know, Age of Empires or like a Street Fighter or whatever, do not just assume they're crap because that's not the main kind of game they play. That's rude.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the 2 things. Do not assume shit about people because of the things you see them playing, and do not judge people because of the games they play.
Yeah.
That's my main takeaway. And we've seen a lot of judging going on, especially towards the Otome community as a whole, and towards the more, I hate the word casual, but I'm gonna use it anyway, because I guess people get the point.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, do not be an asshole towards the more casual demographic. They don't have to like what you like.
Well, and just as a kind of odd other thing to add, I like hearing that things are getting better, because obviously that's a good thing. We're on the right track. But one thing we were talking about beforehand when we were just setting up to record was, I was thinking about when I played multiplayer games like back in the 90s, and it was really a different kind of story before voice chat became involved, because when everyone's on text chat, unless they have a username which is something like I'm a gamer girl lol or something like that, you have no idea who you're playing against, because all you're doing is chatting in text. So there's really no gender assigned to that at all, or age even, or, you know, anything else. All you do is read what someone has written. And half the time it would have spelling mistakes and everything just because you're playing the game at the same time. So you couldn't even tell if it was someone's second language or something. It just, you know, sometimes there'd be gobbledygook and you're like, okay, that person just fucked up and typed some weird shit in their keyboard. But I remember playing World of Warcraft when I did, and that was before voice chat. And I had a number of characters in World of Warcraft, and, you know, a few of them were male, a few of them were female. It didn't really matter. But they were all in the same guild, and it took almost a year for like one of the guys who I played with a lot, because we just were online at the same time, to realize that one of my female characters was actually me, because there was nothing to indicate that it was anything other than the character, because we'd all communicate in text chat and we wouldn't speak or anything.
Yeah.
And it's not like I was hiding it, but I just didn't bring it up because it never seemed relevant, because we'd talk about, okay, we're going to go do this quest now, and that's it kind of thing. And he didn't care either. Like when he's like, oh, it's because I said something like, oh, well, you know, I'll jump on my other character or something. He's like, oh, you're the same person. I totally thought you were just a girl, and he didn't care. But it just kind of shows how back, when technology was more limited, I feel like, even if gaming wasn't as popular with females as it is now, or I don't know, maybe it was, but the point is you never really knew, because who you are never really came into it. You were just your avatar, or the character you were playing, or the role you were playing in the game, and it was actually quite hard to kind of know whether someone was male or female or foreign or anything like that, which I kind of like.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. At the end of the day, what really matters, especially like either in multiplayer games where you're like playing as a team, is okay. Can you protect the base?
Yeah.
You can. Okay, well, we're here. We have the same goal, so let's work with it.
Exactly. And yeah, I also, just as a bit of a joke, but I think it's a serious thing, why are dudes so worried about having girls around? Like, surely we'd be excited to actually have some girls involved, because otherwise it's just a big dude fest. Like, it's just nice to have variety, in my opinion anyway.
That's true. I don't know. I've been like in eliminated spaces for so long that whenever a girl comes, like, a partner, yeah, someone I can talk to openly about certain things that that the guy wouldn't understand about, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's fair enough too. Yeah.
Like you would expect the girl that is already in the group to be the most excited about another girl joining, but sometimes the dude's like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
But yeah, like well, as I might have mentioned this previously, but I'm still like, I'm very happy that more girls are openly embracing gaming. Like whatever they play, I'm very happy to see like people say, "Hey, I play this or I play that," without a hint of remorse, or like of being ashamed or things like that, because some people would just judge you. So in that regard, I like seeing the female demographic actually grow. And I think in some, was it in some Nintendo Switch demographic thing that they released, like, was it 2 to 4 years into the Switch? Or like, I don't remember where, but there was like an interview or something. And it turns out that at this point, like half of the players in the world are like male and the other half are female. Like everyone plays at the same rate, pretty much.
Especially Nintendo games.
Now, yeah, especially Nintendo games. But now the fact that some places like How to Beat have a larger male demographic rather than a female demographic, that may just be either an interesting, or like some of us not being as comfortable at interacting with other people online because things that had happened, like I don't know, grooming or like stalkers and shit like that.
Yeah.
But even in How Long to Beat, like we used to have like 1 to 14, like one girl every 14 dudes. That's one every 12 dudes. So we're growing here. We're taking over the world here, which is quite nice, and I love it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah.
Well, and I guess at this point, I'd just like to point out as well, if some of these topics can be kind of confronting for people. So if any of this is kind of confronting for you or does raise kind of things, do take care of yourself and talk to someone or get some advice or help, or I don't know where you live or what is available to you, but always, if this stuff kind of stirs up some bad emotions, have a chat with someone you trust and are close to, because that's always a good thing, I think. But yeah, don't forget to take care of yourself when you're thinking about these difficult things.
Like that's the other thing. Like we usually avoid talking about things that are serious like that.
Yeah.
Or like we kind of like have another topic on the topic list that is more about disabilities and stuff like that. Which that it's gonna be a touchy topic because it has been, especially for a Spirit Fair. Holy shit!
Yeah, I told Paula that story the other day. For anyone who knows, yeah. But stay tuned for a future episode if you want to hear it again.
So yeah, but I still feel that we need to talk about these things. We need to make it so everyone can join, and like everyone can join the fun.
Yeah.
and that it's only achieved by very much taking things seriously and talk about serious things that you may not want to talk about, but we want.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, I almost forgot, but I don't remember if it was on my WoW days or like on the Warcraft 3 days. Memory is fuzzy. But a guy actually tried to groom me.
Oh, wow.
I saw the red flags and like said like, okay, no, thank you. I do not want to talk to you, and block him.
I'm glad to hear that. Like that you
But
recognized it
yeah,
and were able to get away from that.
yeah, it's kind of interesting because it was before I knew grooming was a thing.
Yeah.
It just kind of like is like something about the way he talked kind of like raised like a red flag, and it was like, hey, maybe I should just block you. So goodbye, fucker.
Right on.
And that was the end of it. But that's the other thing that I feel like our generation or like prior generations tend to separate like real life from online personality or like internet things more.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. Like people nowadays, like not all of them, but a lot of people nowadays like have the one personality they present to everyone. So take care of yourself, everyone.
Mm.
We should go back to the old ways of not sharing your entire life on social media, because that could be actually like
Well, and it's
not the best for you.
just that it's
So
a bit
yeah.
of an aside, but that whole thing of sharing everything on social media, like I remember when I was a kid, I did just as much stupid shit as anyone else, and as kids these days as well, I did dumb crap and shit I'm probably not happy about, and I'm glad I've forgotten. But I also don't have a record of it on the internet, so that's a good thing. No one's talking about it because no
It's a good thing.
one can access it. Whereas, kids are doing the same stuff these days. It's just there's records of it now. So that's the scary part.
That's the scary part. Like your past might as well like come back to bite you in the ass. And we don't want that. So do not leave evidence behind of things you're not proud of.
Well, just protect yourself and within reason,
So anyway, I think that would be everything I have about the topic today.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm just happy that I have found more people that like the same things I like and accept me as who I am.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun. So yeah, any last words about this particular topic?
Not really. I mean, all I can say to other dudes is like, be cool, man. Like, don't freak out other people or get bothered by people who are different to you. Like, that's actually kind of cool and interesting. And I speak as a guy who, my best friend growing up is female, and we're still best friends to this day. And we spent hours and hours and hours and hours playing games as teenagers because we were both kind of, neither of us really fit in. We were kind of, into stuff different to people at school and stuff. So we spent lots of time hanging out together and have always been friends. It's never been anything else because we are not idiots and we are just friends. And but we used to play games. That was our thing. We'd spend all night just playing games and hanging out and talking shit and just, as you do. And that is some of my most favorite memories of growing up, is just hanging out with my best friend playing games. It just so happened that she's female, but if I had not wanted to play games with women, I would never have had that friend. So that would have sucked. And so I'd say, be open to that sort of thing, and who knows, you might actually enjoy yourself. So
one last thing. So this is actually a kind of thing that we were told as kind of like the tutors for the new students.
Yep.
And they said like the new students are friends, not food.
Exactly.
Because sometimes like people just go into the room like with the wrong mindset in it, like new friendly relationships. So yeah.
Yeah. And yeah.
Be open. Do not be gross. Just be a normal person talking with another.
Yeah, and guys and girls can be friends. I know it's hard for guys and girls sometimes to figure that out, but it is possible.
It is possible. We're the living proof here.
Well,
so
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Anyway.
Anything else from you, Paula? Do you think that wraps it up?
Nothing really. I very much rant for I don't know how long.
No, that's good. And I want to say thank you as well for sharing some of those stories because, I think it's like you say, it's good to talk about these things. So, yeah.
Yeah, so without further ado, because I have to go to sleep soon.
I was going to say, yeah, we've been going on a bit, but that's okay. We're almost done.
Oops. Let's play a round of Guess the Game. Yes, it is your turn.
Let's do it.
To try to yeah. So this particular game. Wait, let me see the actual page of the game because I may not want to give you Okay, yeah, I can give you the main story time.
Mm-hmm.
The average main story time is 13 hours and a half.
Okay, very generic.
This particular comment, which, wait, I actually recognize that name from the forums, but anyway, they took 8 hours and 42 minutes on their, what it says to be first game, Time Victory.
Time Victory?
Yeah.
Time Victory. So I'm guessing that means that there are different ways to win, and one of them has something to do with time. So maybe if you do everything, because I know there are some games where if you finish in a certain amount of time, that's a win, to get a quick time. But if you take longer, but you do a bunch of other stuff and you kind of hit every goal, then that's another way to win. I feel like, though, it might be something like a production game because they measure it in the amount of time or the amount of steps or the amount of, I want to say, is it something like, what's that? I'm thinking of the Tomorrow Foundation game. It's Human something. The Human Machine?
Nope.
Or is it like Shenzhen IO?
Never heard of that one.
Okay. That's I forget the dude who made it, but he's made lots of games similar to it, where you're basically doing electronics on electronics boards and creating circuits and stuff. But it's like a production game, so you get marked on how long your signal takes to get through and how efficient it is and all that. There's lots of different things. But I could be on the wrong track with that. This could be like a speedrunning thing even, or time. What else measures in time? So I'm thinking maybe there's some efficiency side to it. 13 hours, but they took 8 hours or thereabouts. I feel the gears creaking in my head as they try and turn.
You may need to all those. Yeah, I'm looking for reviews because I realized the completion times do not have too many comments.
So other games that are like that, there's one I'm thinking of which I can't remember the name of, which is, oh shit, what was that? There was lots of different types of, is it My OK BBS?
Nope.
Okay. Time. Okay, what other kind of time games are there? There's speedrunning games, which I don't really play, so I'd be surprised if it was one of those. Things like Ghost Runner, even though I haven't played Ghost Runner. But maybe Super Hot?
No.
Okay, that was a total guess, but anyway. I know time is a thing. It just said time ending, yeah?
Time Victory.
Time Victory. Oh, Time Victory. So that makes me think more like a fighting game or something with the word victory. When you fight and the time runs out and you win by time. But then why would you say that?
Sense for 8 hours or something?
Sorry?
Wouldn't make any sense for that amount of time.
Probably not. That's what I was thinking. Why would you say Time Victory when you've done 50 fights or something and it would be per fight? I don't know. I'm going to need more. It's not working for me.
Okay, I am selecting the comment. Okay, I'm gonna have to blank out one of the words because it may be a little bit too spoilery. But this person took 20 hours and 30 minutes, and it is actually a replay according to them.
Okay.
And they said large blank map, maximum enemies.
Is it? No, because I think I retired that. It's not They Are Billions.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd completed that. I think I retired it. But I know that you can select like how many enemies you have and how the size of the map and stuff. So there's a size of a map that you can change, and there's a number of enemies you can change. But there's also you get rewarded by doing it quickly. Large map, maximum, most all the enemies. I feel like that should really tell me a lot.
Maybe.
Unless I'm just totally on the wrong page. But I'm starting to see, I think, like, RTS style or something, but just because there's maps involved and numbers of enemies. Where do you set your numbers of enemies? I mean, what's that other game? What's that? It's not a game like Red Nation?
No.
It's like a zombie kind of game, like a twin stick. Large map though. Is it like a civilization game? That could be a time victory. Oh, here we go. We're onto something. Because yeah, you could do a large map and you could do maximum enemies, yeah. And time could be a victory condition, I guess. Okay, let's have a guess now. Is it Beyond Earth by any chance?
No.
Is it Civ 5?
Wait.
Or 4?
It actually,
or
let me...
6?
Okay, it is 4. It is Civ 4.
Yeah, rather than just writing through every number, I'm like, Civ 4, awesome. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I was gonna... yeah, it was large terra map, maximum enemies.
Okay, gotcha, yeah. I feel like...
The last clue was gonna be played with Aztec on Waller difficulty.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, good old Civ 4.
Yeah, actually the first note was from Finidorf.
Yeah.
Which we've seen a lot in the forums.
Well, I believe actually Finn has been in on some of the Civ multiplayer games that we've played through via Discord as well. So I think they're quite the Civ player, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
But yeah, I think we've definitely played before together. So that's that's something. That's pretty cool. And yeah, I've played most of the Civ I've played has been with the HLTB community. So, including Unciv as well, which is the free-to-play fan version of it. So yeah, rad. All right, well, Civilization 4, hey? That's 2 points. I'm happy with 2 points. I'm always way more happy with 2 than 1. So that brings me up to 10, and Paula's on 13. And it's still anybody's game, I'd say.
Yeah, pretty much. So
cool.
I think it's the 6th round, unless we haven't been updating that.
I think
it should be the 7th, though.
Let me just double check. Yeah, the last time was 6, so this is 7.
Yeah, it is 7 now. So still anybody's game here.
Yeah. But yeah, I believe that is what we call a podcast. So let's wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and by all means give us your feedback. We'd love to hear from any other girl gamers out there who have something to contribute, or if you wanted to comment or get chatting on the Discord or anything like that, bring it on. Love hearing your input. And yeah, thanks for listening.
Okay, bye everyone.
Adios.
money makes the monkey dance.